Hi Pokefans, Harry here, and welcome to my breakdown of the first episode of the Pokemon Horizons anime, the episode The Pendant of Beginning Part 1. Now I wanted to go over this episode to break down all the hidden Easter eggs and details that could be in this episode, and also how it could connect to the past of the Pokemon anime with Ash and Pikachu, and also what this new Pokemon anime is going to be like, because I think that is going to be amazing. This is the first time the anime has had, a shake-up since its inception, because this is the first episode that Ash and Pikachu are not the protagonists, and the first time that this episode follows a completely new character that will become the main character that we will follow throughout this series. And I just wanted to break down all the hidden Easter eggs and details and see how this episode turned out. But before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get into the video. So, as I said, this episode marks the first time that Ash and Pikachu are not the protagonists of the Pokemon anime. Instead, Liko is now the protagonist of the Pokemon anime in this new series, and possibly beyond. We don't know whether the protagonist will change after Pokemon Horizons to a new one, or whether we will follow Liko throughout different regions like we followed with Ash. And despite Liko being from Paldea, this episode is set in Kanto. And we've been in Kanto a lot. It's something that Pokemon likes dipping back into. I mean, just like Ash and Pikachu's first and last series, of course, Indigo League was set in Kanto, and Journeys was mainly set in Kanto as well. Just like this series, also the Battle Frontier arc was set in Kanto, and, how many games have we had in the Kanto region? Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, Fire Red, Leaf Green, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, yeah. The Pokemon anime and Game Freak and Nintendo just like dipping back into Kanto. So this episode is set in Kanto, and this whole series is kind of set in the Kanto region. But it is a bit different, because Liko is arriving in the Kanto region because she is going to the Indigo Academy. And this is kind of like a trainer school that, like, Ash kind of was in a trainer school in Pokemon the series Sun and Moon, and Liko is also at this trainer school, but in Kanto. And as Liko arrives at the Indigo Academy, the title appears over the Indigo Academy, so over the episode, meaning that there's no title screen or anyone reading the title for this episode, which is a break that I don't think we have had for a long time, or maybe even ever. So this is a real break from the formula, like I have said before, since this is the biggest shake-up we have had since the Pokemon anime began. And once Liko is in the Indigo Academy, she soon meets her roommate, and she reveals that she is at the Indigo Academy because even though she is from Paldea, her parents wanted her to go to this school because her parents met each other while they were at the Indigo Academy, so they're thinking that this can broaden Liko's horizons, even if she doesn't meet someone, because pretty young, 10 years old. But yes, that is why she is at the Indigo Academy, and she explains this to her roommate, Anne. And of course, the Indigo Academy gets its name from the Indigo Plateau, where the Kanto Elite Four are in the games, and I think also in the anime, and in the Pokemon, and also this school gets its name from Pokemon Indigo League, which was the first ever series of the Pokemon anime, which is just nicely connecting Ash's first ever series in the Pokemon anime and Liko's first series of the Pokemon anime. But soon it is the next day, and the head teacher of this academy introduces Pokemon to all the kids at the school, as most professors do at the start of the Pokemon games. They introduce a Pokemon and then we go on our adventure, so this is a similar thing in this episode. And next is choosing a starter Pokemon, just like the games. And Liko's roommate Anne is up actually before Liko, and Anne chooses Oshawott. And last time we saw Oshawott in the Pokemon anime was Ash's Oshawott in actually the very previous episode, Ash's last episode, The Rainbow and the Pokemon Master, which I did do a video breaking that episode down, so check that out if you haven't already. And then, once Anne has picked her Pokemon, Liko is next, and she picks Sprigatito. And of course, Sprigatito is a Paldean starter, so Liko has a sort of connection, or she should have, as she has picked a Pokemon from her home region. And actually, last time we saw a female character obtaining a Grass-type starter, well, a main female character, was May receiving Bulbasaur in Grass Hysteria. And that was all back in the Battle Frontier arc of the anime. But again, that took place in the Kanto region, so again, some other good parallels. However, the last time we saw a main character obtain a Pokemon in the first episode of a new series was Dawn, who obtained her Piplup in Following a Maiden's Voyage, which was back in the Sinnoh part of the anime. So, that was a long time ago, but again, another main female character obtained their starter in the first episode of a new series of the Pokemon anime, just like Liko is obtaining her starter in her first episode of the Pokemon anime. However, unfortunately, even though I said that Liko and Sprigatito should have a connection, as Sprigatito is from Paldea like Liko, Sprigatito doesn't like Liko and runs off. And this is probably a reference to how Pikachu doesn't like Ash at first, but how they grow to like each other. And we see that, fully come round in the next episode, just like how Pikachu didn't like Ash at first until at the end of their first episode. However, of course, as Sprigatito has run off, Liko, wanting to obviously find her starter Pokemon, runs after it, and she soon finds Sprigatito on a rooftop. And this is because Sprigatito is sunbathing, so that its sweet scent will become more powerful, something that is actually referenced in episode 2 of Pokemon Horizons. However, unfortunately, when Liko is inviting Sprigatito to jump over to it, they both fall off the roof. Fortunately, though, they land on a Snorlax, which saves them. And this could be a reference to when Ash and Pikachu fell from Lumio's tower in the episode Carlos, Where Dreams and Adventures Begin. I say this could be a reference because Clement saves Ash from falling by using a massive, inflated cushion that acts just like how Snorlax does in this episode, by saving Liko and Sprigatito. And then we jump back to the dorm room, and it is already nighttime, and we see that Anne is asleep, but she was watching a video from Nidofing, who is a popular streamer, and their partner, Quaxley, which of course is another Paldean starter Pokemon. So the only Pokemon we have yet to see from Paldea, the only starter Pokemon we have yet to see is Voikoko, the fire starter. And Nidofing was actually mentioned at the start of this episode, as when Liko was waiting to catch the bus to the Indigo Academy, two girls were watching Nidofing on their Rotom phone when they were on their way to the Indigo Academy too. Of course, Rotom phones, we saw them back in Pokemon Journeys, so Rotom phones have carried over from the Journey series to the Horizon series. And soon it is the next day, and Anne and Liko have to battle each other. But unfortunately, again, as Sprigatito doesn't like Liko, it doesn't listen to her, and they lose quickly. Just like how Pikachu didn't listen to Ash at first until Ash gained his trust, so Liko will have to gain Sprigatito's trust as well. And she does this at first, by when it becomes nighttime, her and Sprigatito sneak out at night away from the academy to train, just like Ash and Pikachu have done many times in the past when preparing for a tough battle. However, when they are training by this lake, Liko looks at the moon, and it could be a reference to how Ash and Pikachu were separated in the episode The Same Moon Now and Forever, and they were both looking at the moon, remembering each other, and Liko actually reaches out for the moon, and it actually draws a parallel to her doing that in the next episode, but more on that when we get to that episode. And this episode has actually been jumping around a lot with the Indigo Academy. Even more so in this next scene, when it is suddenly already the first school holiday. So, and the Indigo Academy is like a boarding school, so everyone is like going back home, like even Liko's roommate Anne. However, Liko with Sprigatito isn't going back to Paldea, but actually staying at the school, unlike basically most students, because when we see Liko walking around the school, it is basically dead. There is only like a couple of adults, maybe a couple of other students, but it seems like most students are going back home. And also, just as they're going back home, we get a good look at a lot of the students' backpacks, and the ones that the students are wearing look like the ones from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Yes, you can kind of customize your backpack, but they follow most of the backpacks follow a very similar silhouette, which is what the students are wearing in this episode. And it makes sense that now it's the holidays, that, of course, a lot of students have gone home, that suddenly this mysterious man arrives looking for Liko. And we later learn at the end of this episode, this is Ametho. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he is an admin of the Explorers, which is going to be the major antagonist of this new series. So this is bad for Liko. And it turns out that Ametho and the Explorers are actually looking for Liko's grandmother's pendant, which, of course, Liko's grandmother gave to Liko. However, Liko, thinking something is a bit off, runs away from him. But unfortunately, Zerk, who is a grunt of the Explorers, finds Liko and calls out his Rhydon to stop her. And it quickly becomes apparent that even though Liko has Sprigatito, it can't beat Rhydon because, of course, the level disadvantage. However, Liko quickly thinks that using Sprigatito's leafage, they could use it to blind Rhydon. And it actually works. By putting the leaf petals in Rhydon's eyes, it can't see anymore, and they use that to escape. And this, using leaf petals could be a reference to Irish and Ash's Snivy using Snivy's Leaf Storm to take oil off a Cinccino without damaging it in Beauty's battling for pride and prestige. Unfortunately, with Rhydon now blinded, they use that to flee, but unfortunately they are soon cornered again by the admin, Ametho. Fortunately though, a man who we later learn is Freddy the Pokemon Professor swoops down on his Charizard to stop Ametho. So, Ametho deciding that he has to battle Freddy, he calls out his Ceruledge against Freddy's Charizard. However, Liko uses this battle as an opportunity to escape as, this new man who Liko doesn't know that has just swooped down on his Charizard is distracted, and the Explorers are also distracted by this battle. However, to fully escape though, they have to jump over the gap in the roof, which is the same roof that they fell off earlier in this episode. So, Liko, knowing that she has to escape these people, jumps. But unfortunately, in the battle, Ceruledge has used a Psycho Cutter, but it misses Charizard and it heads straight for Liko and Sprigatito. But suddenly, Liku's grandmother's pendant starts to glow, and a force field forms around them, protecting Liku and Sprigatito from the Psycho Cutter and suspending them in the air. And the episode ends freezing on this scene with the words, "To be continued." So this was amazing. Like, what is the force field? It's just amazing. Also, the explorers, what are they? Freddy, what is his motive, if he has a motive? Also, what is up with the pendant? Obviously, it has something to do with the force field. How does a pendant suddenly make a force field? There's just so many questions to be answered, and we will get some in the next episode of the Pokemon Horizons anime, which I will be breaking down, so stay tuned to this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, comment down below, what did you think of this episode? I thought this episode was amazing. It's just so many unanswered questions, but again, an amazing start to the new episode of the Pokemon anime, and I can't wait to see what direction this anime takes, and how Liko will be a protagonist in like a sense to Ash. Like, will she be the same or will she be different? But as I said, let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of this episode? Also, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, also subscribe and share it out, and we'll see you in the next one.